Okay, so who are you and what's your story?
Hi, my name is Gary Robinson. I'm a filmmaker and an author, and recently I've been embarked on this journey of writing teen novels that feature Native American teen characters who go on an adventure. And it's the first series of books that's ever been created and published that feature Native American teen characters. And
are you Native American?
Yes, Choctaw and Cherokee. I have worked most of my adult life as a filmmaker and a writer, but here have been trying to find different ways to tell the stories of contemporary Native American people, and that's what we're doing.
So I'm recording stories. Is there a story from your past or about your Native American life that you'd like to share with me?
Well, you know, I tell you what, it's kind of hard to focus on one single story, but my story is about helping non-Native people understand who their neighbors are, their Native American neighbors are, because there's so many misconceptions about the history of Indians, the contemporary
What are some
Native
examples
people.
of the misconceptions?
Well, people either go to one of about three different iconic images, and that's all they know. Either the savage, the warlike savage, the noble savage, or the rich casino Indian. And that's about the three things that anybody knows about. And so there's so much more depth and breadth and width to who Native people are and where we've come from.
Can you give me a few examples?
Let's see. One thing I like to point out, for example, is that many people have heard of the Navajo code talkers in World War II. I don't know if that's something you're familiar with. Okay. America has won many of its wars with the help of Native American people in some way. And one of the ways is the use of tribal languages. And there was a concerted effort in the 1800s to eliminate Native American languages, to change Native people into white people, get rid of the culture, get rid of the languages. But many tenacious Native people kept those cultures and their languages, and one way that it's benefited our nation is that in wartime, they've been very successfully used as secret codes that enemies have never broken. Because the languages are so differently structured than any other languages in the world, the Japanese, the Germans could not break the codes. So they made all the difference in World War I. The Choctaws, who I'm Choctaw, were asked in Europe to use the language because they were desperate to try to find something that Germans couldn't break, a code they couldn't break. And that was what made the difference. When they put Choctaw in the headquarters and a Choctaw in the field, and they started talking to one another in their language, that was the first time the Germans couldn't break the code of what they were describing. And it turned the tide of World War I. And so that happened again in World War II, and they recruited Navajos for the Marines to go to the Pacific and do the same thing in that war. But there are a total of about 20 tribal languages used in World War I and World War II as codes. So that's...
Okay, and your name again is?
Gary Robinson. I'm Choctaw and Cherokee, and I live in San Ynez, California.
Okay, do you want to share a website or email address with the
Oh, there's
public?
so much to share. I have a Facebook page.
Okay, what's that?
It's facebook.com/TribalEyePro. Tribal I, E-Y-E, Pro, because my production company is Tribal Eye Productions, and I do documentary films.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. That was fun. Did we get that? Don't say I have to say it again. So that's on the website?
Okay, so that was a good rehearsal. You ready for the real thing?
I don't remember anything I said.